Peace and blessings in this corner box at 24. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing this evening? Hope all is well. I'm doing pretty good myself. Can't complain. God is good. God is great all the time, no matter what happens, all right? So listen, man, we had a great weekend of boxing, man. But I want to back up. I got to talk about this because in light of what Jermell Charlo did, and congratulations to Jermell Charlo on his undisputed accomplishment. He's the undisputed 154-pound champion, which is junior middleweight, and he made history, you know? Again, this is in this corner boxing 24. So, congratulations to Jermell Charlo, his trainer, Derek James, his family, okay? He accomplished something, man, that was great, and he did it in great style, okay? He stopped Brian Castano in the 10th round. You know, the fight was, I had Jermell Charlo up in the fight anyway. I don't know why these dudes is crying. Brian Castano and his camp talking about it was going to be robbery again. I mean, come on, man. This fight was way different than the first fight. There ain't no way that Brian Castano won 5 rounds to me. But if you want to give him 5 rounds, then Charlo would have won at 7-5. But I didn't give him 5 rounds at the 10th round. He didn't win no 5 rounds. I know that. Okay? Charlo was winning that fight. Okay? So if it would have been listen, Charlo was winning that fight at the end of the day. All right? It was way different than the first fight. So he tripping. But you got stopped anyway. So let's just leave that alone. We can't even talk about what if. All right? But the reason, you know, I want to really get into this and talk about this pound for pound thing, right? Because Canelo lost, because he dared to be great and stepped up to 175 and fought the best, most probably at 175. Somebody, honestly, I'll be honest, I didn't know too much about Bivol, but I did watch some of his fights, and I felt like Canelo could beat him just from watching his fights. They had a great game plan, though, I'll say that. They was in and out, in and out. He knew when to go in. He knew when to stay on outside. He threw his jab. He threw his power shots. He knew how to move. He was moving around that ring. And they maybe they had an idea that Canelo was just trying to throw one shot and get him up out of there. And Canelo wasn't really smart, you know? He should have fought him the way he fought Caleb Plant. He didn't just try to knock Caleb Plant out. He was breaking him down. You know what I'm saying? He was patient, round by round. Same thing with B.J. Saunders. You know, so I don't understand why he would think that he could just go in there and knock the dude out. But he tried it, and he didn't win. Okay, but he tried to do something great, try to do something different. But at the end of the day, right, I'm not going to knock Canelo off the pound for pound list because he's still undisputed at 168. Let me say that again. Canelo is still undisputed at 168. And the categories that determine a pound per pound fighter is the opponent that they face, the quality of the opposition, and the style in which they win the fight, how they won it. Whether it was knockout, TKO, which is a knockout as well, or the fighter took a knee, you know, the style in which he beat the person, unanimously, majority, split. You see, it's the manner in which he's done it, right? So when you look at Canelo's record, 57 wins. He still got 57 wins. Now he got 2 losses, okay? And now he's 57, 2-1. 57, 2-1. No, 57, 2-2 with 39 knockouts. I mean, come on, man. Nobody else has a record like that. Nobody, and he hadn't had a loss in 9 years. So what are we saying, man? We're going to knock him off the pound for pound list because he lost to Dimitri Bivol, who was the champion at 175, and Canelo was moving up? I'm not going to do that. Now, what I will say is Jermell Charlo, yeah, he's definitely on the pound for pound list. But now he got a loss too, right? So now we have to consider that. So what we're going to do, just say Jermell Charlo's on top? He's number 1 now because he beat Brian Castano? Nah, that's not fair. And I know that Jermell Charlo really didn't deserve that L. He beat Tony Harrison. I'm not hating on Jermell Charlo because he's one of my favorite fighters. And I wanted him to win and knew he could stop Brian Castano. And I said he would. I said it would be a late stoppage. But I'm not going to put him number one pound for pound based on that performance, right? Because then I also got to look at Terrence Crawford was back and forth with Canelo. It was either 1 or 2. Some people had Canelo pound for pound. Some people have Crawford. So now, if Canelo was pound for pound and Crawford was number 2, then that means he moves in that slot. But if you're still saying Canelo is pound for pound, even though he caught that loss because it wasn't at his weight, and he's still undisputed at 168, then Canelo is still there. Crawford. You got Spence. You got Shakur Stevenson. You got Tank. And then you got Jermell Charlo. So now you got to put it in an order. All right? Top 5, top 10. You have to put it in an order now. I still say Canelo is pound for pound number 1. That's just me. I say Crawford is number 2. Okay? Now, I don't have no problem with Crawford being number 1. If you want to say Crawford is number 1 pound for pound now because Canelo lost, no problem. We could do that too. So we could go with Canelo. We could say Crawford is number 1, right? Let's say Crawford is number 1. I don't have a problem with it. Then who's number 2? Errol Spence, Shakur, or Tank? We got to ask ourselves that. Or are we going to see, because I named the 3 categories, right? The opposition, the fighters that you fight, the quality of the opposition, and the style in which you win the fight. So now we base it just off of or we're going to base it off of other things besides the categories. We're going to base it off of no losses, like Shakur and Errol Spence and Tank, or we're going to base it off of undisputed. Because we just based off of undisputed, then Canelo's still in that top tier. And Jermell is definitely there because he's undisputed now at junior middleweight. So I would say Crawford, Errol Spence, Shakur Stevenson, Jermell Charlo, and Tank. Or you could say Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, Jermell, Shakur, and then Tank. You could do it like that too. However you do it, Jermell is definitely in the top 5 now. Okay, he's in the top 5 pound for pound. Okay, based on his win, how he won, and he's undisputed. So he's definitely pound for pound. We're not going to deny that. But it's just the order, how we're going to put it. Okay, so again, Crawford. Now I would put Jerron Edison pound for pound. Only reason that people wouldn't put him in there is because they'll say, well, the level of opposition. But he's fighting who's there. And when he Keith Thurman in there and he gets him out of there, then what we're going to say? He's not pound for pound? Absolutely he is. Okay? So he's on the list too, as far as I'm concerned. But I get him not being on the list because people are going to say, well, he ain't fought the level of opposition. All right, but that's coming though. Because he called out the big fish, the so-called big fish, Errol Spence. The whale. You got a whale, he said he's Moby Dick, but he ain't no killer whale. All right? Jerron Enos would be that. But I think he want to be more than a fish, though. I think he want to be the one to catch the fish. See, you could be the fish, but I might be the fish killer and the fish catcher. And that's Jerron Enos, all right? So anyway, man, that's just my take on it, right? I think Canelo is still in that pound-for-pound list based on his accomplishments, what he's achieved. Remember, he came from 147. He's undisputed at 168. All right? Jermell Charlo, his last few fights, listen, man, Tony Harrison, he lost that fight. He shouldn't have lost it. He came back and avenged it. All right? And fought Rosario after Rosario took Julian Williams out. And then he fought Brian Castano, man, to a draw that first fight. I thought he won it, but it was close. But this time, there was no doubt about it. Even if he didn't get that knockout, he was on his way to a win. If he would have just held on for them 2 rounds. So he's definitely, man, undisputed. He's definitely pound for pound the best, one of the best fighters. Okay, it's not even an argument about that. We just have to go, just deal with, who and based on what they did. Okay? So that's all, I'm really, that's all I really got today, man. That's all I really wanted to talk about. Again, congratulations. Big ups to Jermell Charlo, to his team, to his family. Derek James, yeah, you have to give him props as being a great trainer. Okay? I'm not really an Errol Spence fan. He's not my number one fighter. My number one fighter right now, honestly, is Jerron Boutinas. But I love Terrence Crawford. Got a lot of props, respect for him. I got a lot of respect for Shakur. Those are the type of fighters I like. See, everybody can like who they want to like. I'm a Jerron Enos, Terrence Crawford, Shakur type of dude. Okay? But I can't deny nothing that Errol Spence has done. He's a great fighter. Okay? I cannot deny anything that Tank has done. Okay? Listen, these dudes can fight. They come to fight. And let's see how he does with Rolly Romero on the 28th. But, yeah, that's what I really got is that pound for pound thing. And we got to stop, going back and forth and shifting. And again, and also remember, Canelo didn't get stopped. He didn't get beat up. Like, he didn't get, listen, he got beat, but let's not act like he got beat down. He didn't get beat down. He didn't get hurt. He didn't get damaged. Okay, so let's cut it out. All right? He lost the fight unanimously, but he walked out that ring. Okay? And he could fight another day. All right? So let's not do that. And let's not bring up also, I see people bringing up, well, Jermell Charlo avenged his losses, Canelo never avenged his. Well, it takes two to tango, man. I mean, I'm sure he called out Floyd to fight. Floyd never answered the call, and I'm not saying Floyd was scared, but he can't make Floyd fight him. But I know he definitely called him out to fight for a rematch. I know they definitely talked about it. I know Canelo definitely said that. Now, it's up to Floyd if he wanted to do it or not. It never happened, so you can't just put that on Canelo, because Floyd got to say something too, right? Now, as far as Triple G, people think he lost. I don't think he lost that first fight, but people think he lost. But he went back in there a second time. But then people want to bring up Lara. Well, that was a close fight too. Honestly, I wouldn't have had no problem with that fight being a draw. And that fight could have went to Lara as well. But it went to Canelo. And I could see why it went to Canelo as well. Because Canelo did land some good shots and he was doing some good body work. Okay? Lara controlled like the first part of that fight. I'm going to say the first 4 rounds. 3-4 rounds. Canelo started coming on 5-6. He started landing good body shots. He started going to the head. He started, he was walking Lara down, putting that pressure. So it was a close fight. But for somebody to say, oh, why he didn't avenge that fight, he didn't lose to him. That's why. He didn't lose to Lara. So it was nothing to avenge. But could they have fought again? Yeah, they could have. Okay? I don't know all that happened. And maybe it was Canelo. Maybe his handlers and maybe his people didn't want the fight, want that fight with Lara, because that could be. But all I could talk about is where Canelo is right now. Okay? That's really all I could say. The status that he's at right now. I can't defend him on if he ran from Lara or not, from a rematch or Floyd. I really don't know. I just know I've heard him call out Floyd. No, I never heard him call out Lara. So if you want to put that out there, you can put that out there. But at the end of the day, this man is still undisputed at 168 pounds. Okay? He beat B.J. Saunders. He moved up. He beat Caleb Plant. And he took on Bivol, and he lost. And the crusher, the so-called crusher, Sergey Kovalev, he's a hater because he said that if he had more time, the fight would have been different with Canelo. Yeah, right. He knocked you out, man. He stopped you at 175. You wasn't washed up. I know you're happy for Bivol, but Canelo knocked you out. You don't have anything to say, as far as I'm concerned. All right? So peace and blessings. In this corner, Boxing 24. Everyone be safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Social distance, wear your mask. COVID is still here. Please leave your comments. Just be respectful, whether it's nay or yay. Please subscribe to the page, and we'll keep trying to give some good content. All right? Peace and blessings.